Hello everyone, it's Mike Levin. Sunday, October 15th at around 9 a.m. And these are the final days in Inwood for me. And starting Monday, I will be based in Staten Island. And I am writing a book. And I figured, since a lot of it's going to be about transitions, why not have the parallel video series as my YouTubes here? Continuing with my beliefs, continuing developing, bringing into focus my core beliefs as to how I should be monetizing this. That's going to be a free and open source book, and the YouTube videos are going to continue to be free. At least the unedited raw stuff, because I like to do the unedited stream of consciousness thing. And a lot of dots are connecting for me now. And some of those dots are things like the connection between the different channels I broadcast and communicate on, and the various ways of doing all the monetization of content on said channels. And I shouldn't hold back on anything that I actually like to do that brings me joy, because I need to construct some sort of gateway to make money by it. Instead, why not just let this stuff out? And the price of free is having to endure the unedited rambling, the lack of concentrating it down. But if you want to concentrate it down, you'll be able to download what I'm sure I'll turn into a PDF and an EPUB at very least. What I'm thinking I'll call Mike's Little Book of Tech and Life. Because why not? It's hard to sort of nail down exactly what it is, my pitch and my whole, spiel and online presence is about. But I do know that I'm kind of good at it. I mean, 7,000 followers is really nothing in the greater YouTube terms, but it is a start. As in business, the old axiom, it's hardest to make your first dollar. As soon as you turn a profit, a healthy business is just a matter of how you scale to the size you want to be. Some companies keep going and become empires, and it becomes for its own sake, and you get back to the types of things I make observations on in these videos. I grew up in the heyday of, I guess, what was created as a result of World War II and the military-industrial complex, and General Electric and Westinghouse owning 2 of the 3 broadcast network channels that people had to tune into to get their information unless they read the newspaper. And that brings us to exact parallels today between short form video. I mean, that's the worst of all things, right? It's both short form and it's video, a media that's most easy to consume without literacy. So anyway, some of the things about my book are going to just be those warnings. Is it bad that cursive's going away? I don't really care that much. Is it bad that, so it's dangerous to generalize, because what's really going away when there's always so many more people in the world? Isn't there really more of everything? And those are some of the points I'll be making too. Making observations within groups is not universal observations of humanity. The future is now, it's just not evenly distributed, and all that stuff. Just really love it. And I feel ourselves passing into one of those many pathways of probability that was sort of laid out to us by our sci-fi writers. We're just living it now. And we will in fact see, aliens of our own creation. That is artificial intelligences someday soon. Convincingly Turing test passing, programs at very least, which brings us to, how I'm gonna open my book, which is stop, look around, notice things. you know, narrate to yourself in your head noteworthy things that you see around you, and draw little pictures in your head to go along with it, like take notes in your head. This is indexing. This is your hashtags of your brain. They are important because otherwise the memories become orphaned and harder to retrieve. And at the moment you make those associations, like I totally made the connection to Narnia and the Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe. So, you know, walking through the paths of Isham Park up here in Inwood, Manhattan, New York City, feels a little bit to me like the scenes of The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, which is strong images that were put into my head when I was a child and read those C.S. Lewis, is that it? You know, those books. And so I'm cross-indexing now to make even faster recall, less chance of this particular memory being orphaned. But of course the memories blur together in a cloud of similar memories because our brains are not VCR. So as you think this stuff, you're putting it into short-term memory with hopes that it'll be, you know, upgraded to long-term memory, and those processes that happen as a result of all this activity in your brain during the day, the activity that is so well portrayed in Inside Out, the Disney movie with the animated characters that are controlling things inside your head, which gets to, you know, what is consciousness, blah, 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 blah. So when you stop and you look around, you're sort of asserting or exercising or participating in what it is to be human, because, wow, you know, who are we as lumps of matter to be self-animated and to be having such thoughts at all, you know? Life is joyous, and just merely the process of living and not screwing it up terribly. But then relativism and what is good and what is bad and who's to judge, I tend to be on the conservative side there, going, who is to judge? You know, only some greater outside being, which I kind of sort of believe in, is to judge, but I see things in a very sci-fi way. So my view of, you know, that, you know, outside our world may also be our world being is, you know, in very much sci-fi comic book terms. And, you know, again, that is a part of who I am. It's a part of the kind of stuff I talk about here. Never ashamed to put myself out there. I do copious reading, and my thoughts are always, you know, influenced by those writers, and that's a good thing. That's one of those ways of, you know, asserting that you were alive. You know, we're given some short few moments. In fact, I would go so far as to say our ability to stop and look around and to have thoughts and to perchance record it and to create higher order that's transmittable through time to future generations is perpetual motion. I mean, you're taking in the energies of the sun and everything. What is it that makes us so, you know, ordered and able to create order beyond what nature provides? Although nature provides life, and that's some pretty amazing order, we bring further order with things like computers, which brings us to stuff that the meat doesn't do well, like long-term memory. So isn't the purpose of technology to extend our human capabilities and to become our tools, which evolution has evolved into us in the past, so to such a degree that you hardly even believe or think that it is a tool. Just because it's built into your body doesn't mean it's not a tool. It's just been internalized. So why shouldn't we internalize tech? All these dystopian visions and warnings of, you know, hackable brains and, you know, Pandora's, the cornucopia of threats in Pandora's box, right? So dealing with that stuff, there are tons of threats like that, and, you know, they do have to be at least, you know, kept aware of and mitigated. So talk about those things. and a heck of a lot of Python mixed in. I had to remember stream of consciousness, so it occurred to me if I had to visualize it, if I had to draw it, I would break it up into 3-letter groups: CON, SCI, OUS, and then the last one is, of course, NESS. So each one of these is simply a list item, an item in a list with quotes around it, with a comma between it, preceded by double, single quotes, dot join, and then that list, putting together CON, SCI, OUS, and then the 4 letters, which is the one that's different, NESS, and it lets me visualize the shape of this word so that I can, write stream of consciousness without having to use a spell checker every time. And then this is a recurring iterative process, so you tighten things up in your brain simply by being able to be more expressive by virtue of having more languages in your head that have characteristics different than the spoken one, Python. Thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you soon, and don't forget to subscribe.